Okay, so hi everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about gravitational lensing and how it actually proves the God's existence. What is gravitational lensing? So now this is a sentence from just a scientific description of gravitational lensing. I found it somewhere on Google, but this is like scientific explanation. When light bends around a massive object such as a black hole, causing it to act as a lens for the things that lie behind it. Now, let's take a look at it and dive into this deeper. Light bends around a massive object such as a black hole. So as I said, that the black hole is this narcissistic consciousness, and light that bends around it is the wide hole, God basically, minus infinity and the plus infinity. So this is the point of minus infinity, and the light is when the God is coming in there and just kind of pushing us out of non-existence, could say, and infinitively just like giving us existence. That existence bends around that non-existence, and that lens occurs. Listen and read between the lines. Light bends around a massive object such as a black hole. This means God bends around that non-existence, causing it to act as a lens, which in other words we could say as an eye for the things that lie behind it. For the things that lie behind it. Do you understand what we just read? I can give you also an example of how to escape narcissistic abuse. And actually through understanding how our universe works, you can do that as well. Because this is how our universe works. It's kind of like an escape from a narcissistic abuse anyways. But basically, how to escape the narcissistic abuse in your life is that right now you might be thinking about somebody who you can't let go of. This is the narcissistic abuse. This is darkness. We don't care about the labels here. Don't get too pressed about whether we call it narcissistic consciousness, whether we call it whatever you want, darkness. We just are aware that this is darkness. This is not light. So in order to escape the dark situation that you might be stuck in, you gotta act like God. You gotta act with unconditional love. So how you do that is you treat that situation with unconditional love, not the conditional love, which is like the attraction, because that's how you get stuck in that narcissistic relationship, is that you feel that attraction towards that person. So if you want to act out of true love, which is God's love, you wrap around it. Now what happens is you gotta understand that when you are in this type of relationships or in this situation where you just simply can't let go, you may not even see this person ever, and you may not be in a relationship with them, but you're obsessed. You gotta understand that in your energy field there has been made a black hole, and that's what you're trying to close. You're trying to close that black hole. Basically a wormhole actually has been cut, but that person's consciousness is a black hole, so he's sucking your energy into its own through your energetic field cut of a wormhole. So you want to close that. So basically how you do that, how you escape that abuse, is just by understanding how gravitational lensing works. So when you choose light, when you choose love, you bend around that massive object such as a black hole, around the narcissistic consciousness, around that stuff. And then what happens when the light bends around it, it causes it to act as a lens. So what this means is that it means lens. Lens means eye. The eye, your eye, okay? So this means that it is causing it to, for you to see the things that lie behind it, as in the quote they said. So that is actually what happens. Once you escape that narcissistic abuse, once you close the black hole, you then see. So this is that part of the sentence, causing it to act as a lens. You then see what lies behind it. What that means is then you finally see him for what he. Then you finally see them for what they are. Once you act this way, that's when you see them for what they are. And when you are in the relationship, that narcissistic abuse situation, you don't see them for what they are. You are in there being soaked in. You are blinded by them. You are actually blinded by them. You don't have an eye because you're blind. You're blind when you are in there. And they say love is blind. Love is not blind. That is not love. Okay? So that is the situation where you are blind. And you don't have an eye to see. And in order to have an eye to see, you gotta act like this, like the gravitational lensing, like a tesseract. You gotta go beyond the situation and see it for what it is, and that's how you escape it. That's a four-dimensional movement. Full four-dimensional movement is escaping the matrix, you could say, escaping that darkness. Also, now I want to read you a part from Einstein's theory of special relativity. As an object approaches the speed of light, the object's mass becomes infinite, and so does the energy required to move it. So imagine an object approaches the speed of light, and it is said that the object's mass becomes infinite, so this means that the speed of light is also infinite, and so does the energy required to move it, meaning that you need infinite energy to move in the speed of light. So if you need infinite energy to move in the speed of light, this means that the speed of light is infinite. That means it is impossible for any matter to go faster than the light travels, it is said. This is scientific also. That means it is impossible for any matter to go faster than the light travels. So can you hear what is being said? That means it is impossible for any matter to go faster than the light travels. So with this sentence itself, they are saying that for something else other than matter, there might be possible to go faster than the light travels, and that makes perfect sense now. Because what goes beyond matter is the spirit world. What is apart from matter? It is the spirit world, the higher dimension. And the higher dimension is the spirit world, the soul, So, this already is basically, they're just literally like talking with words that leave no room for not thinking that the higher dimension exists as a soul. And also, the final sentence was, this cosmic speed limit inspires new realms of physics and science fiction. So they themselves mentioned that this kind of realization inspires new realms of science fiction. So they call it science fiction because they can't accept that God exists or soul, So that's why they label it as science fiction. But it's not science fiction. It's that this is the part where you no longer are able to just use matter to explain things, because you are talking about spaces or dimensions where there no longer is matter and we have soul. So yeah, that's also another kind of proof of like how they are talking about and explaining literally like fourth dimension, and fourth dimension is literally existing in your consciousness. So for any matter to go faster than the light travels. So this also makes perfect sense, because for any matter to go faster than the light travels, but our soul is not matter, so it is beyond it, so it can go faster than the light travels. And that makes perfect sense, because once you move into a higher dimension and you were reconnected with your soul, you actually realize that time does not exist. So time does not exist, and time is only an illusion. That's what you realize. There's only present moment. And so that means you're already no longer living in time, so you have already escaped time. So this means if you're able to escape time, that means that you are going faster than the speed of light, or maybe you're going in the speed of light. So furthermore, this proves that soul exists. And also, now very quote, very kind of suitable top quote is Albert Einstein himself said, time is an illusion. Time is an illusion, and that's exactly what you realize when you become very present to the moment, and you let go of all those toxic things in your life, and you finally see. You finally see. So you finally act like that gravitational lensing, like the tesseract, we could say also. Also, like one of Albert's quotes, I never made one of my discoveries through the process of rational thinking. So he's also talking about how non-thinking is the higher intelligence with this quote, and I've been telling you that as well, that it's not thinking, it's love that's the higher intelligence. It's not thinking. This thinking is actually very limited, it's basically, it stays in your mind. So yeah, and another thing I wanted to say, the impossible mathematical equation of dividing by zero, we have said that it is impossible to divide by zero. Now we can talk about this a little bit. Okay, let's start with the simple number 8. Okay, we take a number 8 and we can divide it by 2, and what it means is that we basically take an 8, number 8, and we split it into 2 parts. So we got 4 and 4 here, so 2 4s. When we take an 8 and we multiply it by 2, we got 16. Now, when we take an 8 and we divide it into 1 part, we got 8. Because we need 1 part out of 8, so it means the whole 8 remains. When we multiply 8 by 1, we have 8 as well. 1 times 8 equals 8. Now where things get trickier is when we need an 8 and to multiply by 0. So think about it like this, okay? We need 8 zeros, so 8 of nothingness, or we need nothing times of 8, no times of 8. So this means that basically, if no matter how many zeros they put, they always get 0, because whether 34 multiplied by 0, whether 60 times multiplied by 0, it's always going to be 0, because you take that 0, no matter how many times, it's going to be always a 0. Now, where things are even more interesting is when we need to divide a number by 0, and that's the impossible, basically, mathematical equation. So, if you take an 8, now what happens when you need to divide by 0? It means that you need to turn that 8 into 0 parts. That's why it becomes paradoxical, is because that means you need to destroy the 8. Now look, when you need to multiply 8 0 times, you don't need to destroy the 8. You need simply to not take it, right? Because to multiply, it means to take something certain amount of times. So you simply don't even touch it when you need to multiply it by 0. You leave it there. But when you need to divide it into zeros, you now need to destroy it. And so that's why they say it's kind of impossible. But I really liked also this quote of Einstein's, which is, black holes are where God divided by 0. And that makes perfect sense. Because in general, black hole is a paradox. Black hole is like hell, you could say. It doesn't exist. That's the thing. It doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist. And the fact that we can even say it doesn't exist, okay? This means that we are implying that the non-existence of it is So it's very paradoxical. It's very, very paradoxical and very hard to explain. But basically, it says black holes are where God divided by zero. So black holes. So in order to divide by zero, it means to destroy, to turn into zero. That's exactly what black holes do. They destroy. They're the in minus infinity, the destruction. And so when he said black holes are where God divided by zero, it means that God did the impossible, He did the impossible. And the paradox, because black hole is like a paradox. So, yeah. Basically, that's all I wanted to say. Maybe I will be making more videos on Einstein's quotes and some other theories.